So I'm about to eat my dinner, and what I want to talk about is a trick, a hack, because I know you guys love those, to get more satiety out of the same amount of food. All right, so this is what I got for dinner tonight. I got 5 ounces of chicken, I got 5 ounces of asparagus, I got a mix of 600 mg of magnesium glycinate with another 10 grams of creatine for sleep quality and the creatine's for my brain. I got my blackstrap molasses. In the dipper, I got 4 or 5 ounces of celery. I got my box of nori, and then I got my Quest birthday cake bar for dessert. So now that you've seen what I'm gonna eat, the trick, the hack, is in the order of operation. I front load all of my vegetables first, and there's a reason why. The reason is because your GI tract, so your stomach and your intestines, are made out of smooth muscle. It's like a tube, it's a hose, right? And so it can stretch. Well, as it stretches, there are mechanoreceptors in your GI tract that detect, okay, we're filling up with food, which means we don't need to be as hungry because it's in there now. Vegetables, particularly raw or lightly cooked vegetables, like I have here, in the case of the raw celery and the lightly cooked asparagus, have a lot of insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber is gonna fill your stomach up, your GI tract up, a lot faster than something like meat or starchy carbs that immediately start to dissolve as soon as they hit your stomach acid. Well, actually, just even the saliva in your mouth and the amylase, the enzymes in your mouth, are gonna start breaking some foodstuffs down. But it's not gonna happen with insoluble plant fiber. So what happens is if you front load your meals with your insoluble plant fiber, it's gonna start sending that satiety signal to your brain as you're eating, because the mechanoreceptors in your GI tract are gonna detect that distension starting to happen. This is a fantastic trick when you're trying to eat maintenance or in a deficit, because what ends up happening is by the time you're done with your vegetables, you just kind of eat what you need in terms of your proteins and your starches, and then you're not hungry for hours afterwards. I use this method in conjunction with making my protein shakes post-training, have a massive bolus of protein. So I do the 6x, 7x scoops. Link to how I make those in the description. So since I front load my protein requirement post-training early in the day when I'm most sensitive to it, I only need 2 or 3 more meals of this size in order to make my daily protein requirement. And actually, this altogether will put me at somewhere close to 1.5 grams per pound. So a little bit on the upside of really what I need. Then on top of that, I mean, let's be honest, this is pretty much for me just pure indulgence. I don't actually need it. But again, like I mentioned in an earlier video, at least it's utilitarian in that it's another 20 grams of protein on top of what I've already eaten, just to make sure that I'm on the safe side. Because if you're gonna go over on anything, you might as well go over on protein. So that's it, folks. I've mentioned before in one of my earlier videos on the channel that I don't snack. And I believe that that is a very useful tool for those of you trying to establish some form of restriction to begin to implement, because that way you don't necessarily have to change how you eat or how much you eat. You're just not eating as often. And so in eating less often, you will just eat a total less amount of food throughout the day and throughout the week. Well, part of not snacking, especially when you're training yourself to start to not snack, is you gotta make sure when you eat your meals, you're actually satisfied. Part of that is making sure, number one, your nutritional requirements are taken care of, but also number two, just the psychological component. I keep stressing this in all these videos, folks, because it's so important for long-term success. You can't just get a coach or go online and look at the numbers and be like, okay, I need this many calories and this many carbs and this many meals, and check these boxes and I'm good. We're not robots, right? We all have things that we like and habits and things that are easier to do and harder to do, and those are malleable, they're fungible. We can grow and learn and change. But the thing is, make it easy on yourself. Figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then play to your strengths and slowly build up your weaknesses until those can eventually become some strengths, or at a very minimum, they don't hamper your progress. Me, I know I have a sweet tooth. I always have. So it's gone from being the overweight kid that would polish off a box of Twinkies and dozens of cookies at a time, to I would have, 1 or 2 cheat meals every week, one or 2 cheat days every week, to 1 or 2 cheat meals every week, to, have a diet break after 12, 14, 16 weeks, to now, instead of all of that, I just have a protein bar every day and I eat my barbecue sauce with my meals. And that little bit of indulgence, just a little bit every day, it keeps me sane and it keeps this whole thing sustainable so I don't go off the rails. And matter of fact, tomorrow will mark 700 days unbroken of doing this that you see here. And it's been easy as pie because I do these little things to satisfy my psychology. So these are the nuances that you need to figure out for yourself and or discuss with your coach if you hire one, and your doctor and nutritionist, any kind of specialist that you involve in your health and fitness journey. These are the discussions you need to have. Don't just go online or get some kind of cookie cutter diet or training plan. Address your psychology so that you can take that general scheme of maneuver that is made for he, she, them, and make it for you specifically. This is one of those things that anyone can apply and make useful, but what vegetables do you eat? How much do you eat? These kinds of combinations, these are all little nuances you got to play with. What I'm giving you here are just little kind of tips and tricks that you can put in your toolbox and maybe get some kind of application from. But this one here, in particular, in conjunction with the not snacking advice that I continue to stress in these videos, is a very powerful tool to increase your satiety and maintain the consistency of your maintenance or your deficit long term. Remember, at the end of the day, folks, if you're trying to do this whole health and fitness thing and your goal is a reduction in adiposity, which generally will lead to better health outcomes and fitness outcomes for most people, it's going to involve some kind of restriction. So you need to find the restriction that is less restrictive to you. And the key to doing that is addressing the psychology. And the biggest psychological impediment to people's long-term success is lack of satiety. Because at the end of the day, we all get hungry and we all get tired. So fatigue management and satiety are the two biggest things that are going to get in the way of our long-term success with our training and nutrition. Stay in the fight.